What happens when a royal guest completely loses it on live television? In just 25 seconds, everything fell apart on Good Morning Britain. And what we witnessed will go down as one of the most shocking moments in talk show history. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. We bring you daily videos exposing Hollywood's darkest scandals, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Last night's episode of Good Morning Britain started like any other morning. Prince Harry sat across from Kate Garraway in the brightly lit studio. Cameras rolling, millions watching from home. The topic was supposed to be his latest charity work. Something light, something positive. But within minutes, the atmosphere shifted from friendly chat to absolute chaos. The studio lights were hot, almost suffocating. Harry adjusted his collar while Kate shuffled her notes. That familiar presenter smile plastered across her face. The crew gave the signal, and they were live. "Welcome back," Kate began, her voice smooth and professional. "We're here with Prince Harry, who's been making quite a name for himself across the pond. Harry, thanks for joining us this morning." "Thanks for having me," Harry replied, his posture stiff, already sensing something in her tone. Kate leaned forward with her notes, wearing that professional smile she's known for. "So, Harry, let's talk about your recent statements regarding the royal family. You've been quite vocal lately, haven't you?" Harry shifted in his seat, his jaw already tightening. "I've been honest, Kate. There's a difference." "Honest?" Kate raised her eyebrows, a slight smirk playing at her lips. "Some might say you've been cashing in on family drama. Your book, the interviews, the Netflix series. It's been quite the profitable venture, hasn't it?" The studio went quiet. You could feel the tension through the screen. Harry's face changed, that polite royal mask slipping. "Just a bit. That's not fair, and you know it." "I'm just stating facts," Kate continued, flipping through her notes. "The book deal was reportedly worth $20 million. The Netflix contract, even more. These aren't secrets, Harry. These are public record." Harry leaned forward, his voice measured but strained. "And every penny of the book profits went to charity." "But you didn't mention that part, did you?" Kate smiled tightly. "Some went to charity. Not all of it. Let's be accurate here." "Let's be accurate?" Harry's voice rose slightly. "You just implied I'm exploiting my family for money, without mentioning the charitable work at all. That's not accuracy, Kate. That's an agenda." Kate wasn't backing down. She glanced at her cards, then back at Harry. "Fair? Let's talk about fair. Your family can't respond publicly to your accusations. They're bound by protocol. But you're free to say whatever you want, whenever you want. Doesn't that give you an unfair advantage?" "An unfair advantage?" Harry repeated, disbelief coloring his words. "Kate, they have the entire British establishment behind them. They have press secretaries, lawyers, an entire system designed to protect them. I have my voice." "That's it. Your voice and a multi-million-dollar platform," Kate shot back. "Most people don't get Netflix documentaries to air their family grievances. Most people's family grievances don't involve institutional racism and abuse." Harry's voice echoed through the studio. Kate paused, her expression hardening. "That's a very serious accusation. Institutional racism, abuse. These are heavy words, Harry. Do you have proof?" "Do I have proof?" Harry laughed bitterly. "I lived it. My wife lived it. We told people what was happening, and we were ignored." "Or," Kate interjected, her tone sharp, "perhaps people heard you and simply didn't agree with your interpretation of events. Have you considered that possibility?" Harry leaned back, crossing his arms. "Advantage? Are you serious right now? Do you have any idea what it's like to grow up in that family? The pressure, the lies, the manipulation? Many people grow up with difficult families, Harry," Kate interrupted, her voice dripping with condescension. "They don't all write tell-all books about it." "Difficult families?" Harry's voice cracked with frustration. "Kate, we're not talking about arguments over dinner. We're talking about a system that protects abusers, that silences victims, that values image over humanity." Kate shuffled her papers, clearly prepared for this. You say silence his victims, but you've been anything but silent. You've done interview after interview. You've had your say, haven't you? Having my say? Harry was gripping the arms of his chair now. I spent years staying quiet. Years following protocol, keeping my head down, doing what I was told. And what did that get me? What did that get my wife? We were driven out. You chose to leave, Kate corrected, coolly. No one forced you onto that plane to California. You're right. No one forced us, Harry admitted, his voice rising. We left because staying meant sacrificing our mental health, our safety, our son's future. We left because the alternative was worse. Kate leaned back, studying him. Your grandmother was the Queen of England. Your father is now king. And you're telling our viewers that being a prince was so unbearable you had to flee to a mansion in Montecito? Do you hear how that sounds? Do you hear yourself? Harry fired back. You're reducing my family's trauma to a punchline. My wife was suicidal, Kate. She asked for help and was told no because it wouldn't look good for the institution. The crew shifted uncomfortably. This was getting intense. Kate pressed on, unflinching. These are serious claims, Harry. But the palace has never confirmed any of this. It's your word. Against who? Harry interrupted. Against the people who have every reason to protect themselves? Against the institution that threw my wife to the wolves to protect my brother? Yeah. I wonder why they won't confirm it. That's quite a conspiracy theory, Kate said, her eyebrows raised mockingly. It's not a conspiracy when it's true, Harry shouted. It's not a theory when you lived through it. This isn't just a difficult family. Harry's voice rose, echoing through the studio. This is the British royal family, the institution that protected my uncle, the institution that failed my mother. Kate held up her hand, trying to regain control of the interview. Harry, I understand you're passionate, but let's not turn this into a therapy session. This is a news program. A therapy session? Harry stared at her in disbelief. Is that what you think this is? I'm trying to explain systemic abuse, and you're dismissing it as me needing therapy? I didn't say that, Kate defended, but her expression said otherwise. I'm simply trying to keep this interview on track. Our viewers tune in for news, not personal grievances. Personal grievances? Harry stood up slightly, then sat back down, clearly trying to control himself. Kate, when someone in power uses that power to harm others, that's not personal. That's public interest. That's the story you should be covering. Kate's smile was gone now, replaced with barely concealed irritation. We cover the stories we can verify, Harry. And quite frankly, a lot of what you've said can't be verified. It's he said, she said. No, it's I said they stayed silent, Harry corrected. There's a difference. They chose not to defend us, not to protect us, not to correct the lies being printed about my wife every single day. Or perhaps there was nothing to correct, Kate suggested. Perhaps the coverage was fair, and you simply didn't like what was being reported. Harry's face went red. Fair? You call racist coverage fair? You call lies about my wife fair? I call it journalism, Kate said, firmly. The press has a right to cover the royal family. We stepped back from royal duties, Harry protested. We gave up the money, we wanted privacy. Because you won't stop talking, Kate exclaimed. You can't have it both ways, Harry. You can't demand privacy while doing tell-all interviews. I'm telling my story because you people told your version first. Harry was on his feet now. For years, you printed lies. I'm simply correcting the record. By trashing your family on international television, Kate added coldly. By telling the truth, Harry shouted. No, you don't understand. He was sitting forward now, pointing. None of you understand. You all sit here in your studios, making judgments, writing your stories. But you have no idea what really happens behind those palace walls. The crew members glanced at each other nervously. This was going off the rails fast. Kate tried to regain control, her voice calm but firm. I'm simply asking questions that many of our viewers want answered. Why should they believe your version of events over anyone else's? Harry's face went red. My version? Are you calling me a liar? I'm asking you to consider that there might be multiple perspectives to every story, Kate responded coolly. But there was an edge to her voice now. Your father might see things differently. Your brother might see things differently. My brother? Harry laughed harshly. You want to talk about my brother? The one who was protected at every turn while I was thrown to the wolves? The heir versus the spare? Is that the perspective you want? Kate straightened in her chair. That's quite an accusation. What exactly are you implying? I'm not implying anything, Harry snapped. I'm stating facts. When we were both in trouble, who got protected? When we both made mistakes, whose got buried? The system has favorites, Kate, and I wasn't one of them. So this is about jealousy? Kate suggested. And you could see Harry's face change completely. Jealousy? His voice went dangerously quiet. You think I'm jealous? Of what? Of being trapped in a system that crushes you? Of having to perform every day of your life? Of never being allowed to be human? Yeah, I'm so jealous of that, Kate. You had privilege most people can only dream of. Kate pushed back. Private education, wealth, status, opportunity. And I would have traded it all to have a normal childhood. Harry interrupted. I would have traded it all to have my mother. I would have traded it all to not walk behind her coffin while millions watched. But I didn't get that choice, did I? The studio had gone completely silent. Even the crew members had stopped moving. Kate took a breath, clearly trying to find her footing again. Harry, let's step back for a moment. Let's talk about what? Harry cut her off. About how I should be grateful? About how I should shut up and be thankful for my trauma? Is that where we're going with this? Multiple perspectives? Harry laughed, but there was no humor in it. Let me tell you about perspectives, Kate. When you're a kid and you lose your mom, and the whole world is watching, and your family is more concerned about protocol than your pain, that's not a perspective. That's reality. Kate's expression softened slightly, but only for a moment. I'm not diminishing your loss, Harry. No one is. But using it to justify every criticism seems what? Harry cut her off, his voice sharp. Seems convenient? Is that what you were going to say? That I'm using my dead mother to win arguments? Kate's face flushed. I didn't say that. But you were thinking it, Harry accused. I can see it on your face. You think I'm playing the victim. You think I'm milking the tragedy. Well, let me tell you something. Kate, living with that loss, that guilt, that anger every single day isn't a card I play. It's a weight I carry. And yet you brought it up, Kate pointed out. You always bring it up. Because you people never let me forget it, Harry exploded. Every article, every headline, every poor Prince Harry piece. You're the ones who keep bringing her into this. You're the ones who compare every woman I've ever been with to her. You're the ones who analyzed my wedding, my life, my choices through the lens of her death. And now you're accusing me of using it? Kate shifted uncomfortably. That's the media, Harry. Not me specifically. You are the media. Harry pointed at her. You sit in this chair. You ask these questions. You create these narratives. You don't get to separate yourself from it just because it's uncomfortable. What I'm saying is that you've made millions talking about how difficult your life was, Kate said, trying to steer back to her original point. Meanwhile, there are people in this country who can't afford to heat their homes, who are struggling to feed their children. How do you think they feel watching you complain about your privileged life? That was it. That was the moment everything exploded. Harry stood up, his microphone pack tangling as he moved. Privileged? You think losing your mother to a pack of photographers, chasing her through a tunnel, is privilege? You think being used as a pawn by your own family is privilege? Sit down, Harry, Kate said firmly. But there was uncertainty in her eyes now. No, I'm done sitting down. I'm done being told how to feel, what to say, how to act. His voice was shaking now, years of frustration pouring out. You people in the media, You destroyed my mother's life, and now you want to destroy mine. Kate's professional composure cracked. That's not fair. I had nothing to do with. You're all the same, Harry shouted, his voice raw. Every single one of you. You tear people apart for ratings, for clicks, for money. And then you sit there on your high horse, acting like you're just asking questions. Well, I'm done answering. I'm done playing this game. The studio floor manager stepped forward, but Kate waved him back. She stood up too, her voice sharp. I am doing my job, Harry. If you can't handle basic questions about your public statements, then maybe you shouldn't be making them. Basic questions. Harry was pulling off his microphone now, his hands shaking with rage. You just compared my trauma to people not being able to heat their homes. You used struggling families as a weapon against me. That's not journalism, Kate. That's cruelty. That's manipulation. It's context, Kate shot back, her own voice rising to match his. It's reality. You live in a mansion in California with a swimming pool and security and every luxury imaginable. And you're asking people to feel sorry for you. I never asked anyone to feel sorry for me. Harry's voice cracked with emotion. I asked for understanding. I asked for truth. I asked for people to listen when I said my wife was suffering. But you people wouldn't know truth if it hit you in the face. Kate's face flushed red, her professional mask completely shattered. How dare you? I have been in this industry for 20 years. I have covered wars, disasters, real suffering. And what have you learned? Harry interrupted, his voice cutting through hers. How to ask the cruelest questions with a smile? How to twist someone's words until they mean something they never said? How to make pain into entertainment? How to turn trauma into ratings? That's rich coming from you, Kate fired back. You've made an entire career out of your pain. The book, the interviews, the documentary. You've monetized your trauma more than any journalist ever could. To tell my story, Harry shouted. To control my own narrative for once. To stop people like you from writing it for me. Oh, please. Kate threw her hands up. You don't want to control your narrative, Harry. You want everyone to agree with you. You want to be the hero of your own story. And anyone who questions that version must be evil. That's not true, Harry protested. But Kate was on a roll now. Isn't it? Your family's the villain. The media's the villain. The institution's the villain. Everyone's to blame except you. You've never made a mistake, never misjudged a situation, never overreacted. It's all everyone else's fault. Harry's face went white with rage. You have no idea what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about, Kate continued. I'm talking about a man who had everything and threw it away, and now spends all his time trying to convince the world it was everyone else's fault. Get off my show. Kate's voice rose to a near scream. If you can't handle an honest conversation, then leave. Go back to California, where everyone tells you what you want to hear. With pleasure, Harry ripped the microphone pack from his belt and slammed it on the table. The sound echoed through the studio like a gunshot, making everyone jump. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This, right here. You invite someone on, you attack them, and when they defend themselves, you throw them out. You ambush them, provoke them, and then blame them for reacting. You're the one shouting. Kate pointed at him, her finger shaking. You're the one who can't control himself. You're the one having a meltdown on live television. Because I'm human, Harry yelled back, his voice breaking. Something you people seem to forget. We're not characters in your stories, Kate. We're not plot devices. We're not entertainment. We're real people with real feelings and real pain. Then act like it, Kate screamed. Act like a real person instead of a victim. Take some responsibility for your choices, instead of blaming everyone else. The cameramen kept filming, capturing every second. This was television gold and television nightmare all at once. Kate was breathing hard, trying to compose herself. Harry stood there, trembling with anger and hurt, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. You want to know what responsibility looks like? Harry's voice was dangerously quiet now. Responsibility is leaving a toxic situation before it destroys you. Responsibility is protecting your family. Responsibility is saying no to a system that demands you sacrifice your humanity for image. That's what I did. That's what I'm still doing. By coming on talk shows and having tantrums, Kate challenged. By speaking truth to power, Harry countered. By refusing to stay silent while you people rewrite history. By standing up for myself and my family, even when the entire world tells me I'm wrong. The entire world is telling you you're wrong, Harry, Kate said coldly. Maybe you should listen. Harry stared at her for a long moment. You really believe that, don't you? You really think that if enough people say something, it must be true? I think the court of public opinion matters. Yes, Kate replied. The court of public opinion convicted my mother before she died, Harry said quietly. It called her paranoid, crazy, attention-seeking. And then she died, and suddenly everyone loved her. Public opinion isn't truth, Kate. It's just mob mentality with better PR. Kate opened her mouth, then closed it. For a moment, she seemed at a loss for words. Harry took advantage of the silence. Harry, if you want to leave, then leave, Kate finally said. But her voice was less certain now. But don't blame me for your inability to answer legitimate questions. Legitimate? Harry's laugh was bitter. There was nothing legitimate about this ambush. You had your agenda before I even sat down. You wanted this confrontation. You wanted me to lose my temper. Well, congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted. Oh, please. Kate threw her hands up again, her anger returning. You came on this show knowing exactly what would be discussed. Don't play the victim. You knew we'd ask about your family, your book, your money. Don't act surprised. There it is. Harry pointed at her triumphantly, his voice rising again. There's the real Kate Garraway. Forget empathy. Forget humanity. Forget basic human decency. Just go for the throat. Just get the ratings. Just make the subject break down so you can have your viral moment. I'm doing my job, Kate screamed. Her professional mask completely gone now. Tears of frustration in her eyes. Something you'd know nothing about since you quit yours. You quit the royal family, you quit your country, you quit everything the moment it got difficult. The entire studio gasped. That was a low blow, and everyone knew it. Harry's face went from red to white. His hands were shaking. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at her in disbelief, his mouth slightly open. Wow, he said quietly, dangerously. You really are just like the rest of them. Just like every tabloid journalist who ever hounded my mother. Just like every paparazzo who chased her car. Just like every editor who printed lies about her. You're all the same. Kate seemed to realize she'd gone too far. Her face paled slightly. Harry, I didn't mean... Yes, you did. He cut her off, his voice cold as ice. You absolutely did. And you know what? Thank you. Thank you for showing everyone watching exactly what I've been talking about. This is it. This is what we face. Attack, provoke, twist, manipulate, and when we react, blame us for being unstable. Blame us for being emotional. Blame us for being human. He started walking toward the exit, his security team rushing forward. Kate called after him. Harry, wait. I'm done waiting, he said without turning around. I'm done explaining. I'm done defending myself to people who have already made up their minds. You want a villain? You want me to be the ungrateful, spoiled prince? Fine. But you'll have to write that story without me. This is unprofessional, Kate shouted after him. Harry stopped at the edge of the set and turned back one last time. The camera zoomed in on his face, catching the mixture of anger and hurt in his eyes. You want to talk about unprofessional, Kate? Look at what just happened here. You brought up my dead mother. You compared my pain to poverty. You mocked my choices, and you're calling me unprofessional? I was asking questions. Kate defended. You were performing. Harry said coldly. There's a difference, and I refuse to be a prop in your performance anymore. Kate opened her mouth to respond, but Harry held up his hand. Don't. Just don't. We're done here. This interview is over. You can't just walk out, Kate called. Watch me, Harry replied. I've walked away from a palace. Walking away from your studio is easy. Kate's face twisted with frustration and anger. Fine. Go. Run away like you always do. That stopped Harry in his tracks. He turned slowly, his voice ice cold. Run away? I survived. There's a difference. Maybe if you and your colleagues had spent less time chasing my mother and more time having consciences, she would have survived too. The silence that followed was deafening. Kate stood there, her mouth opening and closing, unable to form words. Harry didn't wait for a response. He turned and walked off the set, his footsteps echoing in the stunned silence. Kate looked directly at the camera, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly. We'll take a commercial break, she managed to say. But before they could cut away, you could hear Harry's voice from offstage, muffled but clear enough. This is exactly why I left. This shit right here. The camera caught Kate flinching at his words before the feed finally cut to black. Backstage, Harry kept walking, ignoring the producers trying to stop him. His security formed a protective circle as they headed for the exit. One producer stepped in front of him. Your Royal Highness, please. Move, Harry said simply. But the interview. There is no interview, Harry interrupted. That woman just used my mother's death to score points on television. We're done. The producer stepped aside, and Harry pushed through the door. The cold morning air hit his face as his car waited. Photographers were already gathering. Harry, what happened in there? Harry ignored them all, climbing into the black SUV. As the door slammed shut, he finally let out a long breath. His hands were still shaking. Inside the studio, chaos erupted. Kate stood frozen, while producers rushed around. The commercial break was ending soon, and they had no guest, no plan, and a host who looked shaken. Kate? The floor manager approached. We need you back in 30 seconds. Kate shook her head, staring at the empty chair. I didn't mean for it to go like that. We need to address what just happened. The audience saw everything. Kate nodded, taking a deep breath. She was a professional. She'd been doing this for 2 decades. She could handle this. But as the cameras came back on, she couldn't shake the look in Harry's eyes when she'd mentioned his mother. She couldn't unhear the crack in his voice when he'd called her cruel. On set, Kate cleared her throat. As you all just witnessed, our interview with Prince Harry took an unexpected turn. Clearly, there are some very raw emotions, and she couldn't finish. The camera caught her eyes welling up before she looked down. I think we all need a moment to process what just happened here. She stopped again, composing herself. When she looked back up, her professional mask was in place. But there was something different in her eyes. Something that looked like regret. We'll be right back, she said softly. As the show cut away, Kate pulled off her earpiece and walked off the set without a word, leaving her stunned crew behind. In his SUV, speeding through London, Harry stared out the window. His phone buzzed nonstop, but he ignored it all. Instead, he thought about his mother, about every interview she'd done, every ambush she'd faced. I understand now, Mum, he whispered. I finally understand. The car turned a corner, and the studio disappeared from view. Harry didn't look back. Whatever happened next, whatever the headline said, it didn't matter. For the first time in a long time, he'd stood up, fought back, and walked away on his own terms.